What's up, everyone? Welcome to Prepared Pantry Presents. Mark here, and today we're going to talk a little bit about gas grill maintenance. So if you cook on charcoal, then you don't really have to worry about maintenance all that much. When you dump out the ash at the end, you're pretty much dumping out anything that managed to slip between the grates, drippings and bits of food. Really, all you have to do is keep the grates clean. With the gas grill, though, there are a few other things to consider. You're not really ever getting underneath the grates unless you make a concerted effort to do it. We'll head outside in a few minutes to take a look at what that process should look like in most cases. It's something I do twice a year, in the fall and the spring. That's only because I grill all year round, but if you only grill really in the warmer months or in the summer, you can probably get away with doing it once a year. Fall is the best time to do it, though, so then you're not having to think about it at all when next grilling season starts in the spring. First, I want to touch on some important safety tips. Always locate your grill away from the house, far enough away from the house or anything flammable like trees or brush. Second, always turn off the gas at the propane tank when you're done. Never rely on just the knobs on the grill to stop the flow of gas completely. This also avoids keeping the grill's plumbing under constant pressure, which can lead to leaks, especially if a hose cracks or fails. Now, if you are like me and you do grill all year long, there are a few more things you need to consider. Don't put your grill so far out into the yard that it's a hassle to get back and forth. You might even want to think about considerations when it snows and whether or not you're going to have to shovel or snowblow your way out. Always keep the grill covered in inclement weather, especially in the wintertime, or keep it under an open carport or a canopy. What I do is I have a cantilevered umbrella over it, protects it most seasons, and when I know there's going to be severe weather like wind or snow, then I put the umbrella down and I'll just put a regular cover over it. So the last couple of tips really apply to anyone, whether you grill in the winter or not. Always keep a second propane cylinder on hand just in case you run out. There is nothing more frustrating than running out right before you're about to start grilling, or worse yet, while you're in the middle of grilling. Refill the empty as soon as you can, and that way you've always got it on hand and you never have to worry. Just make sure you always store your propane cylinders outside of the house and away from any living areas, never inside the house or in the basement. So when you're ready to start grilling, make sure all of the knobs on the grill are turned off and open the propane tank valve all the way. Then turn on the first burner to high and get it lit. Wait a couple of minutes, make sure the flame looks right. It should be blue with a little bit of yellow and orange at the tips. Then light the additional burners. If you try to open and light all of the burners at once, it can cause a kind of pressure problem between the tank and the burners that might make it seem like you have an empty propane tank. If that happens, just close all the valves, turn everything off, open one of the burners to vent any excess gas, let the gas dissipate for a few minutes, then come back, close all the valves, and start again. When you're done grilling, turn off all valves but one, and then close the valve on the tank all the way. When the flame finally goes out and all the gas is burned off, then close the last valve too. Last of all, just keep your grill as clean as possible between uses. When you're done, just crank up the burners to high for a few minutes with the cover closed to burn off anything that's on the grates. Hit it with a wire brush or a scraper, and you're done. Walk away, and it'll be ready for you the next time. It'll be much less gross to deal with it now than it will be the next time you start cooking. Before we head outside, I just want to take a minute to thank you all again for continuing to watch the videos and support the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Click the red button down below. When you do, just make sure you hit the bell icon so you get a notification every time I have a new video out. Remember, you can also follow me on social media at MarkBurm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. All right, let's head outside. Okay, so we're outside by the grill, and we're going to kind of start on the outside and work our way in, and from the top to the bottom. So really only a couple of things we want to check on the outside. And first thing we want to do is make sure that the grill is cold and the propane is completely turned off at the tank. We want to make sure that our knobs are freely turning. A little WD-40 doesn't hurt if you have any issue. And you also want to make sure that the venturi tubes underneath here are clear of anything like cobwebs or little spider nests. The venturi tube is the place where the thin tube coming off of the valve or knob goes into a larger tube that is connected to or is the burner. There should be one for every knob that you have to control a separate burner on the grill. It's going to be a little bit hard to see here, but I'll put up a picture just to show what mine look like. The venturi tubes may be uncovered, but mine have little plastic snap-over screens that you can see in the image. But as long as all that is clean and clear and free of debris, that should be all you have to worry about on the outside. Now, taking a look at the inside, the first thing I'm going to mention is a lot of times you'll see, again, it might be kind of hard to see in the video here, but I'll put up a couple of pictures. The stuff that you might see flaking off of the inside sides and the lid, a lot of people think that's paint flaking off. I don't want to say unequivocally that it is not paint, but it is probably not paint. What that generally is soot and carbon that's built up from the grease spattering off of things you cook. The resins in the grease sort of dry out over time. It shrinks and it starts to crack and peel away. It's just carbonized grease and cooking mess. It's not really harmful. It's kind of gross if it falls in your food, so I do try to scrape it off every so often when I clean the grill, but it's completely harmless. Another thing I want to mention is these little racks, the rear rack and the little swingy basket thing that go on the lid. You know, obviously these are kind of rusted and a mess. This is a 20-year-old grill, and I've kept it working this long because it's a good quality grill. It's Weber, not a sponsor or anything, but I think they make great quality products. The grill's just lasted a really long time because I've taken care of it and I've replaced parts as they needed to be replaced. These are going to quickly rust no matter who you are and what grill you have. The chrome will start to come off and they'll rust. They're really not meant to be outside all the time. They're meant to come outside and be put in place when you need to use them, and then to go inside when they're not in use and stay with you know, your pots and pan storage, or maybe cookie sheets, or the drawer under the stove. But you know, I'm just as guilty as anyone else of leaving them out here, and that's kind of why they look the way they do. But if you do want them to stay nice and shiny and clean, by all means, just don't leave them out in your grill where they're exposed to changes in humidity and changes in temperature. But as we go in to clean this, we're going to first take out our two wire baskets. And really all we need to do this are a couple of putty knives and a wire brush and a rag. And if you don't even have putty knives or a wire brush, you can really get away with just using a toothbrush and you know, maybe a spatula. Again, you want to do this when the grill is completely cold. You don't want anything to be hot while you're working on it here. If the grill is particularly messy, for example, the grills, if there's still some mess on there from the last time you used it, you might want to run it with all the burners kicked up on high, closed for maybe 20 minutes, just to burn off what you can, but then make sure you allow plenty of time, at least a couple hours, for it to cool down completely, and make sure everything is turned off before you start working on it. But we're going to lift out the grates. Now this is one upgrade I did make to this grill. It originally came with the stamped steel porcelain coated grates. I upgraded them to cast iron. They hold the heat much better. They're much better for grill marks. If they're available for your grill, I highly recommend going with cast iron, especially if you need to replace your grates anyway. You know, the grates rotting out isn't necessarily a reason to replace a whole grill. You know, a lot of what we're going to talk about here are things that you can do to easily and less expensively maintain a good grill and avoid just having to toss the whole thing and buy a new one. We'll take out our cast iron first, and I keep the grill relatively clean. I did just relatively recently do a cleaning, a deep cleaning, so everything here is pretty clean to begin with. Now, under your grates, depending on how old your grill is, what style of grill it is, what manufacturer, all that, you're going to have a number of things. Most modern grills are going to have some kind of metal covers or baffles. These might be called burner covers, burner protectors. I think Weber calls them flavorizer bars. They're there to protect the burners from stuff falling on them and getting caked on them while you're cooking. And also they help more evenly distribute the heat. And additionally, they help stop flare-ups by keeping stuff that spills down. It'll hit this and just vaporize rather than, you know, sort of dribble down into the thing where it'll kind of rot, or again where it'll stick to the burners and cause a problem. So I do like to rotate these every so often. The ones in the middle seem to take more abuse, so pretty much every time I go through, I'll kind of move the ones from the outer to the inner and the ones from the inner to the outer. But we're going to just take these out for now and get to what is underneath. You know, you can take pictures if you have to as you go along, just to kind of remember where everything goes. You know, just pay attention, and most of this stuff is pretty basic. Now, what you end up having to do in here to clean really depends on how neglected your grill has been. The burner tubes, you just want to make sure that they are clean and that the holes and the ports are open and free. If there's a problem with any of them, you can kind of get in there with a toothpick and just make sure that there's nothing blocking the holes. But primarily what we're going to talk about today is the buildup that happens on the sides and the bottom of the grill. And really, like I said, you want to start from the top and work down. So you can start by getting rid of some of the flaky carbon buildup on the lid and just push that down into here. And then using your spatula or your putty knives, just scrape what you can down all of the sloped sides towards the center. Now, if you're lucky, a lot of grill models actually have a front that pulls out like this, making it very much easier to clean. I can scrape everything down into this bin and then go empty it. If this bin isn't clean enough, stuff is just going to kind of puddle here, and the little grease pan doesn't do anything because everything just builds up on, you know, build up on top of build up on top of build up. And that's really it. If you scrape everything out and assemble everything back together the way that it came apart, again, you know, use a wire brush where you need to on any of the components that require it. And we're going to put these two over here, more towards the center. And that one's pretty clean too. And this time around, these will go on the outside. And that is really it. Again, you can make any good quality grill last a lifetime if you just take care of it and keep it clean. Guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it informational. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.